Do you have the players backwards at the top there?
I do.
Oh. Good old Nova, man.
Because we've got a Nimble Mongoose coming out of Death and Taxes right now.
Here you go.
Mom, that's real important. We'll see if Travis has the Volk Bolt to follow that one up.
What was your last name, Marcus? Lian. Got it. Okay. Good luck, guys.
Don't tell me what kind of fucking luck to have.
Well, guess what? You're gonna get some.
A little bit.
Cool.
What's Marcus got in hand? Is he a wooded foothills? Yeah.
Diana, you're always welcome to commentate whenever you want. Pink sleeve boys. Totally forgot to start the clock.
Not a bolt, but definitely what was needed.
Yeah. That's probably, which member?
This.
Dismember? Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of in the main. I didn't know a lot of people were running. Ooh, and a daze for the Thalia.
Good start for the rogue player.
Yeah. We don't have thresholds,
Give
so
that.
it's still just. Oh. Yeah.
This is not looking too great for Death and Taxes.
It's not. I mean, it's too early to say at this point, but we're going to have threshold maybe next turn.
Well, is that another Mother of Ruins?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yep.
See if you
So
can
if he
find
hits
it.
a fetch land or something this turn, pretty much anything castable, actually. Death and Taxes doesn't want to be in the position with so many basics in their deck to have to be playing their non-basics as a second source against a Wasteland deck. They want to just blank the Wastelands out of a rug deck. We've got the Bolt, Threshold. That's a real good turn. That's exactly what Marcus needed.
Way to have answers.
Oh, and Travis just scoops up.
Yeah, I would probably do the same.
Yeah, that was looking pretty over at that point. You can't plow them, and he's not going to get anything down in
Yeah,
time to strap a sword to it or something.
And you can't have your bears jumping in front of 3/3s.
Right. I don't know if he was playing. I guess he probably bricked on the land there. Otherwise, Knight is probably alive, whoever that Knight was. The Mirror Crusader. So what are they boarding here? Does Travis bring in a Rest in Peace?
I definitely think so. The threshold ability on Nimble Mongoose alone is pretty worth it.
And then Goyf gets
Exactly.
also turned into an
Well,
0-1.
it becomes a 0-1, which is pretty bad.
So from that perspective, Mark is going to be preempting that with anything. You know, their Destructive
Yes, you
Referees
can.
perhaps coming in. We see 4 cards coming in with the name on
Tell
it.
him about how lucky he was to have that hand.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a good bit of like 4 bolt type effects. Maybe some artifact removal.
Rookie?
Ancient Crud.
Hey, there you go.
My wife
credit
is
to
Asian.
you.
Go ahead.
Oh, so, hi, Mark.
Yeah, I could definitely see. Definitely artifact and enchant.
How's that whole shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I know the very aggressive strategies in
That
Rugs
sounds
with
way
the
better than fucking this.
1/2s.
Shit.
The
No, I don't want to go out there. It's miserable.
God, dear heart, Jesus Christ.
We were driving over here.
Yeah, I can understand how you mix up those names. I'm pretty awesome.
Jesus. Just
Hi, Kory.
Like, oh my God. Hi, Gearhart.
See, I got this one, and see, value.
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 My God.
Are you commentating?
I'm not. No.
I mean, who really can commentate over me? Like, I don't know if you met me.
Maybe where?
I mean, I always am. It does not matter
because
where I am.
The players would hear him very clearly, regardless of wherever he is.
Yes. This is very
See, The important thing is that you wouldn't need a microphone if I was commentating. You'd still hear it from your house.
All right, so we've got a Cavern. Is that on human? Probably not cleric.
Did you mute me?
No.
That's good, although it opens them up to a wasteland here. There it is. Although this now turns on Mom, so bolts are going to be pretty dead for a good while. It could be that Marcus is bringing a Lavamancer, although that's pretty risky with Rest in Peace coming out of Travis's board, maybe.
I'm curious to see if Marcus brought out his dazes on the draw. It's very powerful.
Turns out, no.
Doesn't seem like it. It's very
I
powerful against Death and Taxes.
I don't have a lot of experience playing the Rug deck. When I played the Grixis deck, I would bring out almost all of my counters against Death and Taxes because Vial is so powerful. They're going to Vial in their creatures. They're going to Stoneforge Vial in their equipments. But bringing in only 4 cards out of Marcus's board, I suppose he has room to leave in any number of counters, probably taking out a Spell Pierce in the main.
I think it's. I think he would cut the Force of Wills before he'd cut the Dazes.
I think so too, which is unfortunate because Daze can be pretty dead. But often your Death and Taxes opponent won't respect the Daze if you don't have to flip it to your Delver.
With Death and Taxes, I feel it's kind of hard to respect the Daze because you want to get out that early Mom, early Thalia on turns 1 and 2.
Here's Travis bringing on lands again. And everything's going right for Marcus. There it is.
Wow.
It's a match. That is an ended match of Magic the Gathering. That Ancestral Visions was really interesting. What is... Travis...
Yeah,
okay.
that's spicy. I guess he... Oh, I guess that's a boarded card. He knows these games can go long.
That's a really interesting card. I hadn't had it in the...
Is it
probably
boarded? I'm really curious to see if that's main deck or not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting... So that was an odd one.
I'd imagine it's boarded because there's a lot of matchups that I would not want to have. Okay, it was.
Okay. Rough and Tumble.
Surgical.
That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. And Pithing Needle,
okay.
no artifact destruction.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
That's really surprising.
Took out some Sniffles. I think I like Stifle better than Daze for sure.
The best thing I feel you can do with a Stifle is, stifle a Stoneforge trigger, which is pretty relevant. I personally like having Dazes against Death and Taxes, as they will often just jam out the turn 1 Mom and turn 2 Thalia or turn 2.
I don't hate it, but it puts you behind the tempo game, and
that's true.
yeah, and I mean, like we were saying, there's
Hey, just a quick update for you guys. We have we're bringing in another match.
Okay, great.
Featuring by a Legacy Open champ.
In New Jersey, Tom Keating.
I almost died to get here, and then I get the shit kicked out of me like that.
Do you want Tom or Thomas on the screen?
Oh, hey, Tom. I was introduced to Tom at the Open that he won, after he won.
How do you spell your last name?
We ended up being in the same car with the Open champion and the modern, what they call it, modern Sunday tournament champion in the car with my 1-4.
My name is Mark, M-A-R-K.
His last name is different.
It's Hollaar, H-O-L-L-A-A-R.
There's so many things I want to say about it, but
Is that a Dutch name? Seems like a Dutch name.
so this is you guys are starting your game 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're starting to
How much time? I can keep track of it.
I'll give them 7 minutes.
Well, these professional Tarmogoyf dice. I don't have to use my janky one. Just cut out of a 2x4.
Shardless versus Aggro Loam. Do you have any takes on that matchup? Jordan?
It's Kevin, King, and Jordan.
It feels like a Chalice on 1 early is really good against Shardless.
I would agree.
You have Death Right to interact with the yard. The Loam engine is really unimportant to Aggro Loam anymore. It's almost more Maverick than it is Aggro Loam, but also it doesn't run Stoneforge, so I don't know what it is at this point. It's just kind of...
It's a pile,
junkish
that's
deck.
for sure.
Yeah. They called it, what, punishing Abzan is what they called it when he won the Open.
Yeah, so what do you think of punishing Abzan? You,
It's punishing Abzan versus Sultai Cascade effects in the new convention.
I'd be fine with
Gaming.
Shardless Sultai.
I wouldn't be fine with any part of it, but
I'm not happy with
I'm
it.
rough
I'm not
because
happy
you
with
get
it,
off my lawn.
but I
You're
can
lucky hat.
understand it.
Yeah.
I gotta-
I was told, and I mean, I begrudgingly agree, they're trying to sort of hyperlink across their salty mid-range. They're trying to hyperlink across their site, so if you write an article and you get the hyperlink hashtag bug, then, or hashtag Sultai, then you can go to a standard article about Sultai if you're a casual who only wants to play those colors in every format or something. They have decided, they being content providers, that it's better for their brand to do it, and so players have lost control over the names of our decks. Fortunately, Snapcasters is a stream by the Eternal players for the Eternal players, and we will have none of this Jeskai nonsense. What's really interesting is Tom didn't have a second land in his opener.
I imagine that's why we saw him Green Suns for the Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was inferring there. So, ooh. That hand's pretty good if the Dryad Arbor lives, and looking at that, well, Bob's gonna go maybe. I can't see what the other two are.
What's that card next to the Bob?
I can't tell. Obviously there's Lily, there's Bob.
that is, Knight.
There's Knight.
Okay.
Oh, two
Cool.
Knights, okay.
I'll take Mr. Dark Confidant.
Things
Go ahead.
aren't looking good for,
Yeah, if he can find
Cross
another
that
land
Bay,
off
not
the
a
Bob
land.
or something like that.
That was a pretty loose keep, actually. I mean, a Disfigure out of Mark's deck just puts him so far behind.
Yep. I assume that's why we saw him attack with the Dryad Arbor instead of just laying out the Bob.
Well, yeah, he got the Bob Buffy. Oh, we got a Chalice on 1. What is that, a script? Can't see.
Get you. Go ahead.
Goyfs do not care about a Chalice on 1.
Boys do not care. What doesn't grow dies, and what dies grows the Tarmogoyf.
Very true.
This is not looking good for Tom.
Yeah, if he doesn't do...
Pitch nothing, I dare you. I did, okay.
There's a knight with, I believe, 4 power and toughness.
It looks like 4, because we've had 2 diamonds.
It's
pitching
2/2 base plus 1 for lands, right?
Oh, you don't have to do that.
Go ahead.
What are my points right now?
So the Goyfs both attack, he doesn't block. So we've got creature, land, sorcery, and yard. So he's afraid of an instant, and that's smart. But he's got Wastelands.
He,
Wasteland Bayou in play. What instant do you play off of that?
I have scoured it out. Yeah. Yeah.
Those knights are getting pretty big now.
Yep. And if that is a wasteland I'm looking at there, then this is
There's 6 sixes.
suddenly pretty bad for Mark.
Unfortunate.
6 it is.
Yep. Tom's not nearly
I
at low
imagine we're
enough.
going to see Goyce on defense here. I can't
Yeah,
imagine attacking
Tom's
into a knight.
not anywhere
That's
close
rough.
to the point where suicide makes any sense.
Go ahead. I really should. I know. Like, if I just hit.
So what does Mark need to get out of this?
Sweet.
Mark is going to want to hit some lands, obviously.
Says.
Decays are pretty good here, but they're hard to cast. Looking at this clock, unless Tom can put more yards or more lands in the bin, he could double block a knight here. And are they 6s? He could kill one.
Yeah, he could kill one and lose a Goyf.
Right, trading a 1-for-1 here seems to make sense to me.
I would agree.
Because taking 12, putting you to 4, puts you on a one hit block from either of them. Maybe he'll just start drawing lands and start chumping with some nonsense until you can hit some real
Looks
answer
like
tonight.
he took it.
You took the 12 or the.
So that's a delta.
Well, I don't see any dead Goyfs, so I believe so.
Yeah.
Is that a polluted delta?
It's a delta, yeah. So now Mark's in the position, if he doesn't pull, a chump out right now, he's going to have to use both Goyf chumps and just die.
Nah, go ahead.
Unless, did he find a decay?
Yep.
It's trapped.
Wait, actually, I'm gonna.
Okay. Forcing down to 3.
Goyfs
Makes-
grow.
5-6
I'm
now.
not gonna instant.
Creature, instant, sorcery, land, artifact.
That was a very good play. It
Yeah.
let Mark grow his Goyfs by 2 power and toughness, and
Prob-
it did add another land to feed Tom's knights.
Right. It's just too little too late at this point. 2-5-6 is facing
I
down.
agree.
Yeah, alright. So, Tom picks this one up in what looked to be pretty hopeless for him in the first 2 turns.
Fully honest and rub the case.
I'm very interested in
Rub the
why
case would've
Mark
been really
had
good.
no blocks there and just took the 12.
Why you also made it so you didn't draw any lands? 'Cause that was-
Yeah, I don't know if he wasn't considering the double block or if you really just did not want to lose a Goyf and then have, be behind on parity for a Goyf versus a Knight.
I feel that in that situation, though, Tom is in such the beatdown that, Mark is getting beat down. And
Yeah,
you
no,
just-
I absolutely think
so you'll die.
I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
I was promised sweetness.
And you were giving bitterness. This is bitter, sweet.
Dark Loam.
All these flavors, and you choose to be salty.
Alright, so what are we boarding here? Probably some sort of needle out of Mark's deck, correct? You want to shut up those Knights.
And I imagine we'll see some artifact destruction out of Thomas's deck to get rid of that needle.
Does Mark shave 1-drops if he can? Because Tom's got to leave in those chalices. It's so powerful against
I
Shardless.
imagine he'd take out Stifles.
Shardless plays Stifle?
I
I don't
Maybe
think
not his
so.
list. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
I haven't seen it a lot of
My
the time.
bad.
And the problem is, like, if you cascade into it, it's terrible.
It looks like
Yeah.
I saw at least 2 forces were trimmed.
That makes sense.
There are people who want to play Shardless with like 3 or 4 wastelands. I think it's insane. The mana cannot handle more than 2, I don't think. I just had like
Regardless, let's see. I mean, Lily is really good against Loam. So we're keeping Lily. We're not boarding into or keeping of the Mind Sculptor if the list is running any.
Yeah, I imagine one of those was cut.
So Mark's on the play. That lets Mark drop a 1-drop before Tom ever has a
Hey,
chance
nice
to
to
play
meet
Chalice.
We've played before.
Which can be really important. If it's a death right, that's going to be really good.
I have a very bad memory with like people when I first meet them, so I don't like remember names and faces. So
That's
I
all good.
apologize. It's my fault.
I played that deck a lot. Not as well as not as good. I keep saying.
Now, why couldn't you have been stuck on lands for a little bit? You draw lands, is that the secret? So much to learn.
We should run blue spells.
Mark is going to.
So when I was playing 4-color Delver,
I
I was
just
thinking
suppose
of
have more
running
resources.
one Swords to Plowshares in my
Knight is the
second
most
deck,
important card.
just to
obviously.
be able to activate Desperate Shaman and sword something, just so I can.
Hard for Tom to
play
win without Knights.
Was
But
strongly
Shardless he
considered.
doesn't get access
Nah,
to
just
plows.
play, compulsive
It's all abrupt
research.
decay,
It's a smart land,
Spelltime
put
lilies,
back.
things like
Think of the value.
So, Kevin, Jordan, what are you guys playing these days?
I'm on the good old Grixis Delver.
Grixis Delver. That's that. I used to be on that for a very long time, and then I was tired of being beat by lands. So I built lands. Now I play lands. I've been playing-
I believe last Tuesday you crushed me with it.
yeah, it gets frustrating, doesn't it?
Give it a shot.
My first win-ins to a top 8 of something big were one was a just complete punt against Lisette on Miracles. Into the next round was the unwinnable matchup of Dave Long on lands. First of all, it was lands. Lands is impossible, and then Dave Long's an absolute wizard. So we got. So the Thoughtseize came in from Tom, which is very.
I
good.
can't tell what that card next to the land is, but I imagine you take the
Brainstorm?
Lily here.
Liliana Wasteland and Abrupt Decay. 2 Brainstorms and a Misty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Decay's real bad.
I see either Abrupt Decay or Lily.
Well, it depends on what kind of lands Tom has. If Tom doesn't have a lot of lands, then he might need to take Waste. Although I would absolutely take Abrupt Decay if you can afford it.
Looks like you can.
Of course, Brainstorm could just be 3 Abrupt Decays. It could even be the both.
I believe he had 2 Brainstorms, did he not?
Yeah, 2 Brainstorms, right? The land next to Liliana was Wasteland, as far as I can tell. It was the Judge Flow.
Okay.
So now that we've seen what Mark has fetched, we're going to see Brainstorm fetch, make that hand way better. Lol at Thoughtseize Tom. This is a good example of how to use a Brainstorm very effectively. Mark's hand was really, at that point, poorly positioned against a good draw from Tom's deck. So Mark is using the Brainstorm to draw 3 hopefully good cards, put 2 back that he doesn't need, and if those 2 were bad, fetch them away, make your hand way better. Most people who play the format have probably cast the card Brainstorm, and if you've never brainstormed into a fetch land, I recommend it.
Good.
Feels good.
Looks he's either waiting on the end of turn to crank the fetch that, or he wants one of those cards.
Yep. Really, it looks like there's no reason to crack it now, so letting Tom wonder about that, I think, is more valuable.
I would agree.
It's an unforest, which means it untaps for green mana. After seeing the Wasteland off of the Thoughtseize, Tom goes and gets a basic. Sylvan Library is really important in shutting down that Wasteland game. Mark's now got to reevaluate.
I have a feeling we're going to see a force. There it is.
Yeah. Saw the force off the Brainstorm. Unstrix, so those were 2 of the Brainstorm cards. That's huge. It's very important.
Okay, so he did like what he saw.
Right. That must have been a very good Brainstorm then.
Brainstorm.
Turn it again. Looks like we missed lands other than that waste, though.
Well, he has a Wasteland he can play and cut him off red and black, so...
Oh, for sure. At this point, it might have been worth just running out the Lily, though, if we were all right with shuffling. But it looked like we need to.
I think Mark may be digging for another counter spell for the for a possible Chalice on 1.
Or Knight. Really, his only hard answer to Knight is
against Aggro Loam.
Yeah.
Good.
We've got a good old-fashioned non-foil Wasteland.
Those are the ones I play.
Red-blooded, God-fearing Wasteland. I remember my first Legacy Grand Prix ever was Grand Prix DC a while ago. I was playing Death and Taxes, and I asked a friend if I could borrow some Wastelands, and he handed me his Judge set. I was very nervous.
I remember for Eternal Weekend, JD actually offered to ship his power to Jason, and he turned him down because he didn't want that responsibility.
Yeah, it's fair. I was real surprised.
Yeah, shoutouts to JD for being a bro.
Yeah, he moved to Montana or something, right?
It was like Kansas.
I thought it was New Hampshire.
I'll take it.
We have an abrupt decay for the Bob. Everything Tom tries to do, Mark just has the answer.
Not just
Looks like the University of Maryland internet connection is not happy right now.
Yep.
So you're at UMD, I'm up in Baltimore right now, and we're commentating on Imagine Virginia. Truly, we live in the future.
That we do.
This is the future I was promised.
Except the hoverboards are really stupid.
Sure, I was promised hoverboards.
I was promised actual hoverboards, not a brand named hoverboard.
Yeah, or just maglev boards.
It's a pretty big letdown for me.
Another Bob. Tom refuses to be held down by Mark's answer after answer.
He's going to be seeing a lot of cards.
Good combat. Getcha.
Ah, Tom does not want to block a vanilla 2/2 here. Tom refuses to be held down by Mark's answer after answer.
Good.
Alright, so we got a Scoos. That's actually real good for Mark. Free cards off Bob. The great one, as they say.
Dose.
Tom's gonna have to figure out a way to deal with that Scoos to get Loam engine online or Night engine online. Although Mark doesn't have a lot of green, it's surprising how quickly a Scoos becomes annoying. Jordan, are those Cherry brand switches in that keyboard?
Are they what?
I was asking what brand of switches you use in your keyboard, because they are, I imagine, tactily satisfying.
I couldn't tell you, honestly. I am currently using my laptop, and they have keys. I do not know how they function.
I just checked. Turns out I'm on my laptop. All right, so we got the Scoos stare down.
Some Scoos on Scoos action.
So, how many creatures do we have in yards? Do we have any? We have a Bob that died to an abrupt decay. Which
We do.
It died earlier. Ooh, Bob.
I think that's the only one.
Scoos. That is remarkable, and I think well advised.
Yeah, I like that attack a lot, because if you're in Thomas's position, trading your Bob for the Scoos that throws a wrench in your deck seems good.
So both players gain a life, and Tom has Scoos superiority.
And also a blocker to stop that pesky Shardless agent.
Yep. Although Shardless dies, Mark can eat it with the Scoos to get back on Scoos parity, but at that point, Mark's used his whole turn. It doesn't look like he hit a third land, so that's his only colored source. Although what else is he going to do with that? Unless he has Goyf in hand.
How many cards does he have? 2, 3?
Can't tell. It's not more than 3.
I think the thing Mark would want would be a Goyf. A Goyf would be fantastic right now.
Don't we all want Goyfs, though?
We do.
So that's a decay. Everything's coming up Tom. This is,
I have a feeling we'll see a pretty quick decay on the Scoos.
One would think. I think Tom's probably thinking if there are other lines that are more profitable. If there's more things he needs to save the decay for, but it's real unlikely. Scoos is one of the worst cards for Tom, so getting it out of the way is going to be important.
Looks like he's going to gain a life and then have it die.
Well, not even. He's just going to eat the Wasteland.
Oh, just eat a land. Okay.
Just get it out of the yard. That's really showing how poor Mark's hand is with the lands he has in play.
And his other land is a Wasteland.
Right.
So, 1 green mana does not make a 3 mana deck.
No, and Waste is looking worse and worse by the minute. An interesting line from Mark, it would have been, I guess, fairly greedy, would be to try to go after Tom's Black Source when Tom revealed the Abrupt Decay to Bob.
I think that would be a pretty profitable line of play.
I mean, all Tom has to do is
But
show the best land.
you are correct on that. It is very greedy. Because if you top deck a Goyf, then you feel pretty stupid.
Yep. I mean, you have to play to your outs, though, and at this point, let's see. I mean, a blue source puts him on Shardless, which can be Shardless Cascade into Goyf, turn the whole game around. So, yeah, that might be true. You want to save your mana for the Shardless. The big plays in the late game. We got 2 bombs to play.
Alright.
With a deck like Shardless, where the more mana you have, the more things you can do with churn, generally, I like saving the mana there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe losing the skews there is fine because you're just playing for your big swings now as opposed to your...
At this point, you have to play for the play you described earlier, the Shardless into Ancestral, into Goyf, into something big.
Yeah. That was interesting. Leaving the Wasteland as an option.
Life of the Loam. Card I imagine Mark is not happy to see.
Yep. Oh, I don't know Tom's hand, but it looks like we want to loan for a waste and start going nuts. Oh.
This is gonna hurt. Yep.
That's a great way to do it too, isn't it?
And swing out. Damage, and just like that, he's dead next turn.
Yep. But Mark feels pretty unfortunate playing that needle before Lily came down, but you have to play it where you can. Wasting there is perplexing to me.
Yeah, at this point, you've held on to the waste for so long, you might as well keep it in hopes to top deck a Goyf.
Alright, the game goes to Tom. And the match. That's not a fun one.
No.
And I mean, you play a Wasteland deck, I play lands. You have those matches where the point is to control your opponent's resources and they don't get to play Magic. And
I know very
you take a
well
long time
how
to kill them.
punishing a Wasteland with Life Alone can be.
Yep. Do you board one in your Grixis list? It could be pretty greedy with
Do
the
I
mana,
put a
but-
Wasteland?
No, a Loam.
Oh, a Loam. I'm currently not running a Loam in the board.
I hadn't
considered
really seen it out of anyone. I did it once, and I think it was way too greedy. Because if we're in a situation where I want to loan for value, probably
I saw you
Trop
you brought in Thought
is going to get wasted itself.
Yeah, I don't do that. No. I cut 2 Chalice, Galaxy, Caracas. Because turning off their surgical and turning off like Death Ray Shaman's actually kind of nice. Well, also like you can play it on 0 after you play like your Mox Diamonds. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. Yeah. Especially if they suspend too. If they go turn 1 suspend, then I'm absolutely playing it on 0. But I'm trying to remember what all I bring in. I bring in Deluge. If they kill. I generally lose to Tarmogoyf when I die. To that die.
Do you like any of these? Yeah, I brought in these 4 for obvious reasons.
Yeah, those are all auto ends. Norad's fine. Yeah, I mean that's still pretty good.
The rest of that seems fairly low. I thought about like Click, because like Click can pressure Liliana, but
Click can get Punishing Fire if he end step bounces it with Grove. I actually like Click in this
like
matchup.
Click.
Click's real good.
Seal. Yeah, Seal beats. It beats.
Sylvan's
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Well, there is an argument for leaving it out so it increases the value, your expected value of a blind Shardless Cascade. It does, but that's what I mean. Is it kind of clunks it. Like if you're trying to get Abrupt Decay or something, then if you have Seal, that might make it tougher to cascade into what you want.
Oh, that's great.
I think I sideboard Pulse, Garuk, Crusher, and what else? Pulse, Garuk, Crusher, and yeah, I don't remember what the fourth card is that I bring in.
Are you doing your Blue Deck feature, Alex?
Apparently.
Also good to see you, man. Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I was in California for 3 weeks, so.
It's a good place to be. You came back just in time for
Yeah, hey, welcome back,
For winter.
man. Whoa.
I actually got back last week, but I couldn't make it last week.
That's all good. I couldn't make it last Wednesday either. I was too sick. How you doing, Alex?
Hey, good, man. Good to see you out here.
Likewise, brother.
Actually, no, you got back like
Feeling better?
Much.
I got back like on the 6th. A while ago. 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well, fuck you too, then. Oh, sorry. Do we need to keep our language PG-13 over here?
Preferred, but I mean, I'm not gonna stop it. Yeah, I had to turn the volume down like to 25% of what it was because of your heart. Oh my god. Really anxious to see what you're playing. Oh, I approve. I approve. I'm trying to remember how to spell it.
What is this?
My body's ready.
Is this a third game or is it a pickup?
I think round 2 went up.
So is this round 2?
Yeah, I'm updating the.
All right.
I mean, it looks good.
Yeah, you guys are good.
Excellent deck decision for Alex.
I've never really known fairies to stomp,
What would you know about that?
but I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, you know, that's the deck, the challenge of building that deck is trying to find fairies that are capable of stomping.
I totally have to ask you how to spell your last name again, Marcus.
I kind of like Fairy Waltz as a name for a deck. I imagine fairies waltzing into battle.
Fairy Waltzy.
Yeah, Fairy Waltzy. I just don't see, you know, a bunch of 1/1s as Stompy.
Fairy Flitty.
I could be wrong. Maybe some 3/1s as well.
How about Fairy Swarm?
Fairy Swarm, I like that. I do like Fairy Swarm. And a Chalice on 1.
Out of Soulland Fairy Stompy. Alright.
Alright, it's playing Soul Lands. I might have to reconsider my opinion.
Yeah. If it's Stompy in the sense of prison deck, like the Goblin Settler, Mog Catcher, Goblin Stompy, as they say, it could just be big mana prison with fairies. I haven't actually seen this one played, though, so. Double Soul Land, is this just mud? Hanger back for 1.
That's spicy.
It's really interesting, actually, because at that point, if Hangerback dies, it won't make enough Thopters to block and kill a Delver. Saving the 2 life there. He would go to yeah. So Alix would go to 10, but that's
Whenever I
not-
see a hangerback, my first question is there a sack outlet for it?
yeah.
Because I tried hangerback in Affinity, and hangerback with sack outlet to arcbound, pretty strong.
Correction, I was wrong. There was not very many dice on the table at all.
Mark, scoop there.
Yeah, Rug
Yep.
Delver has a lot of troubles with
Chalice on 1.
Jit and Palace and Chalice on 1. Both of
Yeah, I
those
feel like
cards.
you get a Goif down eventually. I don't know. This is a very scoopy store. I've just not played in a
but at the
meta where
same
people
time-
are so willing to scoop. I guess that's how you get 50, or, 35-minute rounds.
Doing okay.
I don't even think Goif can get him out of that.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, maybe not doggedly, but I often see people play.
I'm not really
Goif
sure how
out.
Marcus get his way out of that situation, though.
Also, Mark
It's
said
because
this earlier.
it was Hangerback Walker.
Marcus.
Like,
Marcus
What
doesn't
do you-
have any artifact removal on the board, or we would have seen it against Death and Taxes. Are we going to see a similar board?
I really don't like not having artifacts on the board.
Yeah, I think that's real loose.
Especially when you're in rug colors, because the green for Ancient Grudge isn't even a splash then, it's solid.
Mm-hmm. And
I play Ancient Grudge in Grixis sideboard and have a 1 of Chopped for it.
That's all I'm saying.
ooh, Catfax. What languages? We've got Swahili, we've got Finnish. We don't have Russian. Russian is Koshka, similar to the Czech there.
Goddamn right it is.
Didn't even board it out.
Goddamn right it is.
Possible because there is no dice.
Kory, where are you living nowadays? Or would you not like to say?
no, it's fine. I live in Bowie.
Yeah, in College Park here, it's starting to snow a fair amount.
I can't tell if it is because I have the shades
Travis
closed,
showed
but
me a
it's wet.
picture of Google Maps, and I was a little worried. Oh yeah.
I'm very happy I went to get eggs and milk yesterday.
If you type in that command in chat, you'll get it random.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I am going to be on chat for forever.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, I just saw. Oh, it's snowflakes. Of the UPS around here.
Exclamation point catfax. Get you.
Oh my Jesus.
Yeah, it's real bad. Incidentally, Kory. Kory.
What?
Dibs on your stuff.
Dibs on what?
Dibs on your stuff.
Oh, okay.
When you inevitably die going back up.
Yes.
Or freezing your car because, like, you ran out of gas and, like...
And die.
Yeah, and die. I mean, the point is, yeah, get your stuff. And see, everyone heard it. Confirm that they heard it.
Turn 1 Niggle Mongoose off a trot.
Yeah,
It
that's
lets him
good.
use the days if he chooses.
We wanted that. All right, so we're looking at a 3-drop.
Berenhaus might throw a wrench in that.
There's Alix just trying to play a second land. Okay.
We're definitely going to see the days here, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no way Marcus can allow that.
I would be extremely confused otherwise.
Ooh,
That hurts.
Stratus Dancer, right?
That is a Stratus Dancer.
Okay. All right, so the goose is going all the way for Marcus. We have decided. All Alix has to do is never play anything that can block a goose for value, and Marcus wins.
Yeah, the Delver in Marcus's hand probably feels pretty bad.
Yep.
What are the other cards he can play? Goif?
Goif, Dismember. Sulfuric Vortex if that came in for some reason.
This is
Ancestral.
why I really like having
Visions.
at least one Ancient Grudge in the sideboard. There's a Goif.
Yeah, I really, that's so loose to GT to not have it. Yeah, the Goif is what we need
I was
here.
playing. If I was playing
and
Rug, I would
Marcus.
probably put 2 Ancient Grudge in my sideboard just because of how strong the card is.
Alright, so we've got a Hangerback equipped. This is what Alix needs
This
to
is
do.
just looking awful.
Yeah. Marcus can start casting things into the Chalice to start filling up the yard, but that's gotta feel bad.
Gotta do what you gotta do to feed the Goyf.
Yep. Even if Marcus is able to cast 3 1-drops that get countered right now, that doesn't give Threshold. Because Goose is pretty resilient to G-Tank for obvious reasons. It has Drought, I guess, if you're not familiar with the card.
And
Okay, we
there's
didn't
the
bring in a
Vortex.
Vortex.
He brought it in.
Helps with G-Tank. Turns off one of its modes.
I would let this attack go through. I like keeping the Hangerback around for a little bit more. And attacking with a GTA equipped seems like the right play.
That's a Bolt Ponder out of Marcus. I can't see the third card.
Sorry, what? This one does.
Alright, while we're figuring out life totals, how do you like bringing in Sulfuric Vortex here?
I don't hate it,
Marcus is the beatdown, for sure.
definitely. Turning off the life gain from GTA is very valuable.
Right, and if your clock is faster, it's faster.
2 hits in a Goyf.
Alright, so we got Pierce, Bolt,
It looks like
Ponder,
he drew
Goose in hand.
Oh,
Yeah, so a bunch of dead cards in hand that Marcus may just want to run into the Chalice to fill up the yard.
I would run the Delver into the Chalice, definitely, to at least grow the Goyf. Oh, he doesn't have a Delver, I'm sorry. That's a Ponder.
No, Ponder, yeah. You need to
Is that,
step
I
away
believe that's the
from him. I'll
second
be right back.
Vomit in his hand, though. I would definitely run that in to the Chalice. That way you'd attack with a 5-4 Goyf instead of a 3-4. Or, I mean, a 4-5 Goyf instead of a 3-4.
So we've got a Wipe Away.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Wipe Away is a split-second bounce spell. So we wiped away the Tarmogoyf.
For now.
Right. Usually I see Wipe Away as tech against Hayfairs and such out of combo decks in the board. But if you're actual mono blue, it is one of your only versatile answers to permanents.
Still have not seen a fairy yet.
We saw a Stratus Dancer. Is that a fairy? No, it's probably
It is not.
a gene or something.
It's a Jinn monk.
I feel misled.
It's a very old
Yeah.
name.
Right. I just wasn't aware the archetype existed anymore. I had no idea what would be in it.
It's
Turns out,
from
hanger
10
back.
from 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, who was playing it at Seattle even? There's somebody who was fairly local was playing it in Seattle.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Block, get 2 Thunters, or oh, right, he doesn't have Threshold, so that was just a chump block.
That's interesting. Why did Marcus do that?
And I don't really
Broke
understand
the voice?
switching it back to the
You respect the mic?
to block the Goyf. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you block the Goyf because I mean at this point Alix just needs to get a good hit in to make his clock faster because
Right.
Marcus's
8 is
clock
not a healthy
still
life with a Sulfur
the
Vortex
fastest.
out. And I believe the block from the Nimble Mongoose was to stop a GT from ticking up from being activated twice and getting in for a lot of damage.
Yeah, makes sense. Wiping away the Goyf was the correct tempo play, unfortunately, because being able to send a timely wipe away as the Goyf is coming in, that is to say, because being able to wipe away the Goyf as it blocks would be huge for turning the clock in Alix's favor.
You talking about stuff?
A lot of dice on Alix's side of the table.
Block with the Goyf. Do you want to trade? Or just kill it. Don't even have to trade.
No, yeah. And here we see why GT was such a big deal for Marcus in Game 1 and would have been something to plan for out of the sideboard. I have to feel like there just must not be too many relevant artifacts in the local meta or something. Or maybe Marcus just got greedy, but...
Ancient Grudge is just so powerful that I really don't understand not having at least one of the
Yeah,
side.
and I mean, a Corrosion Grip, for example.
Okay.
Like, if you're worried about Ancient Grudge being too narrow somehow.
Mm-hmm. That would be reasonable.
If Marcus is about to play a second Sulfuric Vortex here, I'm going to be really excited.
Give him at 9 or 7. Oh, okay, okay.
Even if he does... No, okay. So Alix is now in bolt range.
If there weren't 2 chalices on one.
It was possible to cast a bolt,
Yeah. Alright.
and that's the game.
Wow. Marcus loses 2 games to GT.
Can you get a sneak peek at your deck? Because it's pretty amazing.
It's the same deck that David.
Right, yeah, so he
Damon,
showed it to
that's who
me,
was playing
I
it.
called it Fairy Stompy, and then everyone in chat was like,
Sea
"There's no
Stompy."
fairies."
Damon was calling it Sea Stompy, I believe.
I've been on it first.
So there was a K grip.
Oh, okay. But it wasn't brought in against Death and Taxes. That's interesting. Maybe we just missed it.
Very possible.
Well, that makes it even more tragic because Marcus just never saw the grip.
Yeah, I'm fine with a K grip instead of an
Oh,
Ancient
really?
Grudge.
Yeah.
Well,
His counterbalance.
he took an actual dump on Travis's chest last round.
Whew.
Like, he finished their set before Thomas had even started playing. So I was like, hey, why don't you guys just...
It was rude.
We can do your whole set over here. But you want to do a deck tech with it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here, I'm going to turn my mic volume up here so we can hopefully get not blown out by gear fur. Yeah, if you want to fan it out.
Merfolk. We got some sticks for holding. We got a trinket
I'm going to
lead.
actually
Go
put
get
the
Chalice.
mic on the table so we can talk about it. Okay.
I see some Merfolk.
It's getting lots of requests.
There's the Stratus Dancer.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that a
that's
looter
pretty
real
hot.
for?
Yeah, Damon's been working on it longer than I have, but I think what we've got right now is pretty good. It's pretty good build.
All right, so why don't you, while you're doing this, Alex, what are we playing here?
So we're just we're playing blue Chalice aggro with the good old Chalice, Ancient Tomb, and that stuff. I guess Mist Hologriffin is kind of a centerpiece of the deck. We've got synergy with Chromox and Force of Will, so we can get a lot of value out of its Exile clause.
Gotcha.
It actually originally had Serum Powder in the deck, which is like the hottest thing with Mist Hologriffin.
I remember I almost
David Gearhart loves his deck. By
That
the
is
way.
absolutely 100% not
Can't
true.
get enough of it. He
Every
almost
time I
cries when
registered
can't
this
play
card,
it.
you told me that not only was I terrible, but my deck was terrible. You registered this card.
No, that doesn't mean I do it.
Fuck you. Just forever fuck you.
Correct, and how Hatfield does it.
Forever fuck you.
Oh my god. I have to tell you right now, I have the microphone tuned to Alex's voice, not yours. So please, just give us 5 minutes. Okay?
I'm sure that's yeah.
Okay, so
How many of these are there?
yeah, we can fan out the mana base there, I guess.
Cool.
All right, so synergies, obvious. You said the Miss Hologriffin is the cornerstone of the deck here. Or
Well,
it-
kind of,
it's-
sort of. Like he's not the most impressive card in the deck, but he's pretty important to the way the deck is designed, if that makes sense. But like so are these guys. Stratus Dancer is actually a really strong threat in this deck. You know, it's pretty easy to cast it as a morph, even when you have some of the weird colorless heavy openings. And being able to flip it up to counter like a Terminus or whatever, and they can't respond to that. You know, you can't counter a triggered ability with most counter magic, so it's
Right. Yeah, I'm
pretty
actually
good.
completely unfamiliar with this card.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or I remember Damon talking about it. Flying 2/1 for 2 Megamorph, and that's that mechanic that it's like morph, but when you turn it face up, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah, it's like morph but better, sort of.
And then it's a trigger, so you want that against like anything, or you just want an uncounterable piece of permission. And I guess
Yeah, exactly.
You're putting a little clock on them. How often do you just cast it regularly?
Fairly often, actually. I mean, it's really good. It trades with a Delver in that sort of matchup, where we're actually casting it at 3 and holding 2 mana up is going to be super clunky, obviously. So
Right.
just having it as a 2 mana, 2 power flyer is pretty good. I mean, it's also a good candidate to pick up equipment against something like Elves or Death and Taxes. So you actually cast it as a 2 mana guy fairly often.
Gotcha. That's cool. So what else we got? We have True Name Nemesis. I guess just as the old beat stick.
Yeah, I mean, he's also really important for dealing with Tarmogoyf. You know, he is the deck's answer. If you're falling behind in the race, you can try to stave off a Tarmogoyf with him while you get some of the evasive guys through with an equipment or something. It's just a high-quality card in a deck that traditionally doesn't play a lot of really high-quality cards. So I really like having the True Name Nemesis. The mana base, you know, we're running like probably a couple more islands than traditionally with the seat to fetch with Trinket Mage, and we've got a Mox Diamond as well.
Oh, I see. Just as one-ups for the Trinket Mage.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Diamond's actually a recent addition, but yeah, this is the Trinket package here, although usually Trinket Mage is going to get you either Hangerback Walker or Chalice. Obviously, Hangerback Walker, that's a more recent addition as well, but the Hangerback Trinket Mage kind of package gives you a lot of grinding capability against like the Abrupt Decay decks, which traditionally, you know, some matchups you want to go turbo equipment and just find like some kind of flying shit and put equipment on it and attack them.
Right.
And in other matchups, they're going to break that up with their Abrupt Decays or whatever, so you really need to grind them a little bit more. Hangerback Walker is really good for that. It also helps answer Tarmogoyf, you know. Let's see. A lot of the creatures in this deck are actually pretty difficult to get high value when they try to remove it. True Name Nemesis obviously is difficult to hit. Hangerback gives you doubles. Stratus Dancer can easily protect itself. That's something that you do fairly often. If you have the time, you'll play it as a morph, and then you'll go to equip it with 2 up, so they can't blow you out on the tempo there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all a little bit clunky, but the mana base makes it work okay.
And Sea Drake, what's this card? This is just...
Oh, it's the classic Fairy Stompy card.
Yeah,
it's
I remember this.
He's just a 4/3 flyer. When he comes in, you gotta bounce. You gotta return 2 lands you control to your owner's hand.
Okay.
If you play him off of a Mox and a land, if you only have 1 land in play, then you don't have to do anything because it specifically says 2 lands. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
So that's kind of neat. But he also has synergy with Looter Ilkor by bringing extra lands back later in the game. He lets you buy back City Traders if you need to do that, so you can play an island out to cast your True Name and then still have the city later.
Gotcha. And what's this card here?
Oh, Sigil of Distinction. Yeah, this one, this is kind of the 60th card. It's an equipment. It costs X. It comes into play with X charge counters on it, and you can remove one of those counters to equip it. And the equipped creature gets +1/+1 for every charge counter on it.
I see. So that's just kind of like tap out, like put X power on the board and like kind of synergizes with some of your soul lands. So it's just like a big equipment.
And it lets you find an equipment with Trinket Mage if you're dirtling with weenies, which this deck has more of than like the traditional Serendib Sea Drake Fairy Stompies. Then you can set up a big beater if you need to. And actually, Sigil on a True Name Nemesis is a pretty big game. That's pretty good. Even if only like 4 counters on it. That's
yeah. I like that this is kind of like a blue like Stoneforge Mystic almost.
Yeah, he's trying. He's trying really hard in this deck. And with the addition of Hangerback Walker, he does a lot because against Storm, you get your Chalice and you can even cast it on 0. So Trinket Mage is pretty explosive in that type of matchup. And then if you need to just have bodies to equip in the grindier matchups, then you just you get your Hangerbacks. And
right. So if I recall, the last time I saw Damon's list, he was running Trinispheres.
Yeah, the Trinispheres used to be in the sideboard, but that's not the case any longer.
Gotcha.
Room for the sideboard over here.
Or he was also running Back to Basics too.
Yeah, that's definitely still in the sideboard, and that's a pretty big tool that we have access to. Only 2 right now, but so we got Wipeaways. We got a couple Trinket Mage targets. And we've got a couple of Phyrexian Revokers to kind of double up on that effect. And then the big one is Triple Misdirection, which
I guess that's for Abrupt Decay decks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is the best card we've found against the bug decks. I mean, Back to Basics is okay as well, but Misdirection, misdirect your Abrupt Decay from my guy to your Deathrite Shaman usually wins the game.
Right.
So.
That's pretty cool.
And again, Misdirection synergizing with Mist Griffin, which is also a terrific threat against Abrupt Decay decks because it costs too much mana for Legacy, so it doesn't get hit by it.
Yeah, that seems really cool. I really like this deck a lot.
It's a lot of fun, and the one thing that we're going to be adding to it when the next set's legal is what's it called, Warping Whale.
What the hell is that?
Oh, so it's like it's 1 and a colorless mana. Waste man, whatever. It's an instant that has like 3 modes. You can either kill a creature with power or toughness 1 or less. You can counter a sorcery spell, or you can put a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion in play.
Wow. And how much does it cost?
It costs 1 and a must be colorless.
Okay, must be colorless.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can cast it off of a soul land.
Right. Oh wow!
But it does a lot of what this deck wants to do. I mean, it kills creatures, and it's an efficient removal spell. It'll give you a body for equipment if you need to, and it
that makes a lot of sense because I don't know. I played a lot of Stompy in my day, and removal is always something that we've been lacking. I was a big proponent of Big Red for a long time. That was probably my Stompy deck of choice.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I really like seeing new brews of it, and this I remember I first played Damon. Like one of my first weeks back here in a long time, and I met him in. We were both XO, and I was like, "This deck is freaking awesome!" Like, I thought it was so cool because I was trying not to die to True Name Nemesis with GT and Sword of Fire and Ice on it, and I couldn't beat it. It was too good. But like, I love all the different threats in the decks. Like specifically the Mist Hologriffin's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick when you get to put that on a Chrome Mox early in the game, and then when you start running out of gas, you can just pull him off and cast him.
Gotcha. So, besides the other the new card coming out, are there any other changes you want to make, or you might anticipate going forward?
Well, the latest addition, aside from the Mox Diamond, is the Looteril core, which was actually Cloud of Fairies before. We were playing Cloud of Fairies. He's been in and out of the deck, and Cloud does a lot of really cool stuff with your soul lands and letting you equip stuff really early. It also lets you play Illusory Angel, which is a pretty nice threat that you can get in there. But right now, I think we like Looter better. I mean, Looter, not as explosive and not quite as good against some of those matchups where you really need a fast equipment. But he is still an evasive guy, and he helps draw you out of the clunkier draws and get you through some of the grindier situations.
Yeah,
he's been pretty good.
One of the problems I always notice with Stompy decks is they can kind of stall out, and I guess he kind of lets you pull a little bit out of that.
Yeah.
I guess you would just like sit back with like an extra land or something in your hand and just try to find more cast with them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And again, it has synergy with Sea Drake if you can manage to pull that off. And
yeah, that seems really cool. So how long have you been on this archetype?
A couple months.
Yeah.
2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I talked to Damon in the chat about the deck, and he specifically mentioned you as being one of the sole contributors to I guess like his go-to guy. You guys were just, is this your deck? You think he would say both your guys' deck?
Maybe at this point. Like I said, he's been working on it a lot longer than me. That original build with the serum powders, that was all him, and he was the one who discussed. He threw Stratus Dancer in there the minute it was spoiled. But yeah, I'm trying to collaborate with him, trying to help him out now.
Yeah, this was pretty cool. I really like this Stratus Dancer. This seems like, I remember he was saying, because this is back in Omni Show days, this card was insane against it, because you can just counter their show and tell or counter their whatever, and there's just nothing they can do about it if they let the morph resolve.
Yeah, and it's super difficult for tendrils to deal with it as well. I mean, especially game 1, you can throw that guy out. If you get to untap with a Stratus Dancer against a Tendrils deck, they're real limited on what they can do.
Right. Oh, I see. Because you can just force their hand if they go for Infernal Tutor or Dark Petition. Then it's just ad nauseum, whatever. They can't do it.
And it's also very good against Miracles. I mean, it counters Terminus. Like I said, it can protect a board of a couple of guys and make it really difficult for them to get through it. And then in the matchups where it's not so great, you play it as a 2/1 flyer, and unless you get it in a mid-game situation when you can play it as a morph. I mean, against even something like Elves, which you would not plan on setting that up as a morph against Elves. The trigger is obviously still relevant, so it still comes up.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's really cool. I like this deck a lot. All right, Alex. Well, hey, thanks for sharing your deck with us. This is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to feature Damon's match whenever he could, and he's like, yeah, as long as they don't play against Show and Tell, I'll be all right. And then of course he played against Show and Tell,
right.
And just actually had like the worst matchup I've ever seen the deck play. And I'm like, darn.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty hard matchup. We don't have that much interaction for them, so. And the sideboard doesn't even offer that much.
All right, Alex. So thanks very much for sharing it with us.
Yeah,
I really like
My
the deck,
pleasure.
and I'm definitely keeping an eye on its progression. And how many of that new spell? What was it called?
Oh, Warping Whale.
Warping Whale.
Right now, we're just probably carving out a couple of slots for it in the sideboard, but I could see this more. I mean, I know that the guys who are brewing the new Eldrazi Mud decks are playing them as 3 or 4 of them in the main deck in some cases.
So Warping Whale
It's a very good
is
card.
Yeah, a lot of
6/6 with Island Walk for 8, including 7 blue mana symbols.
There was Bob Long is working on a list with something like that. That's getting my attention. That I'm thinking of looking at. We're trying to gauge like the power level of it to see if it's good enough to make Mud great again.
Those new threats are pretty awesome. I mean, we've considered them in here as well. Thought Not Seer, and Reality Smasher.
That's cool, man. All right, well, good luck in your next round, man. And
thank you very much.
Hopefully, we'll be seeing more of it sometime soon. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's the old school version. Oh, is that how you got it? You snaked it on eBay?
It was Wow, that it was probably it might have even been before when I got it. It may have been just before.
Oh, these are not the same casters from last night. We've got, you guys want to reintroduce yourselves real quick? We got a lot more viewers right now.
Like half of the box was.
Yeah, sure.
It's Portal Second Age. So
This voice is Kevin King. I'm out of Baltimore.
There was like the dragon.
Mostly pretty exclusively play Legacy these days. Used to do the PTQ New England style grind, but Legacy's just better. I play lands mostly these days, up in the Baltimore area.
And this voice is Jordan. I am in the College Park area, and I play everything from Standard Modern to Legacy. In Legacy, I'm currently running Grixis Delver.
Is that just because of EDH?
And this is Kory Fox. You're a resident producer. I'm local on scene if Kevin and Jordan are actually remote in on Skype right now. And we're live at a Curio Cavern tonight. If you guys haven't heard of them, they're located in Springfield, Virginia. We're a really awesome store. Thanks for the follow, by the way, guys. And yeah, they're really, really cool. A lot of big names in the Legacy community came out of this shop specifically, including Gearhart himself, who, however, no longer plays Legacy, unfortunately. But the shop's still awesome regardless. Every Wednesday night, we're out here at 7:30. Usually 4 rounds, but the weather is atrocious tonight, so we're only doing 3. Zach and Flames, thanks for the follow. I have no idea how I'm getting home tonight, by the way. If I don't make it tomorrow, please send help for, send like a rescue ship on 495 or something.
A ship. We might not send a boat after you.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Maybe a jet ski, or not a jet ski, a snowmobile.
Yeah, something.
Hovercraft?
Hovercraft?
Something warm with a blanket and lots of coffee or something.
I'm just trying to compile a list of things that would be more appropriate than boats. Warping whale, perhaps. I don't know if warping whales can swim in snow.
So I want to give a quick announcement real quick, by the way. Dylan actually just got engaged to Jennifer, so hey, shout outs to them, guys. Congrats.
Congratulations to them.
Mazel tov, as they say, I assume.
Very happy with that.
Yeah, Diana just messaged me on Twitch, and I got confirmation with him and got approval to say that here on chat. Okay, Winnett, we're not in Glen Burnie right now. We're up in, or are you up in Glen Burnie? I'm not sure who you are, Kay. And Daniel, we are in Springfield, which it's like if you look at the Beltway on 495 on the DC Beltway, we're almost exactly southwest on it, like right off the Beltway, and it's in Springfield.
Does Maryland have a Springfield? There's
Hey, that's totally cool, Kay.
Maryland does have.
Do you go to if you don't know about games and stuff, it's in Glen Burnie too, and we play there every Tuesday night.
I think Kay Winnett might know that.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that Kay does, or
for all those
is
who
at
don't,
least aware. Yeah.
There's a playtesting event every Tuesday.
Yes, playtesting event. Emphasis on that.
Where one is allowed to bring up to 15 playtesting cards. If any of your cards were to become damaged during the course of the tournament, then the judge might be able to issue you a proxy. In no circumstances should anyone be playing with counterfeits. I believe. Oh, and everything should have at one point been a magic card if you're going to make a playtesting card out of it, and so we should be using no card tokens. We're going to cover every type of cardboard that could be jammed into sleeve. Yep, Games and Stuff is right off of 97, I believe, right under 695. The first exit south of 690, heading south from 695 on 97 is the Games and Stuff exit.
it's right across from the light rail stop.
Exactly.
Did you fare last night? I was unfortunately unable to make it. Last night.
We did well. We had some really cool feature matches.
I got the last round. Tell him it's no sir the split, and I crushed him.
he made some
pretty poor decision game too. Yeah.
So shout outs to Mike Tomitz. I love him to death, but
Yeah,
oh my god, the way he plays Storm is so like he kind of oh god, and he I guarantee you he has a very positive record against me, and he just goes for it. Like he's just like, oh, I got some black cards, I got some blue cards. I can probably we can get there, and then just goes off. It's the most beautiful thing ever. But every now and then he just does this where he goes off. I honestly think specifically he actually had the turn 1, but he forgot that you played a Chalice on 0. Because that whacked it out.
He kind of tunnel visioned on his line and then forgot to think about the board. Niraj said that Storm versus Lance is supposed to be a bad matchup for Lance, which on paper it should be, but I am hugely positive in that matchup because I understand you bring in every hate card, and if you have 5 hate cards in play and you draw a gamble, you cast that gamble for your 6th hate card. You do not at all worry about your own engine as long as they can cast spells. And so that's what I did there. And I've gotten got by the turn 1, turn 2 storms often enough that I understand that you just jam the Chalice as soon as you draw it. You never wait. So that's why I put the Chalice on 0, and it ended up being great. I mean, for every game that you jam a Chalice on 0, they're going to be able to go off with 1-drops, and they're going to say, oh, you should have waited a turn. Well, if I waited a turn, you would have gone off with your 1-drops anyway this turn. So for all those people out there wondering how to win the Storm matchup with lands, it's jam your hate as soon as you draw it, and then draw as many of them as you can. Hugely fun and interactive.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with Aggro Loam. I've played Storm so much. Like I'm talking probably a couple hundred times, and I really think it's a favorite matchup personally, because you just have so much hate for it post board. Like as long as you don't mold to Oblivion, you're usually favored.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, game 1's rough. Game 1 with Aggro Loam, you're racing, I guess, unless under the effects that they can interact. Other than the Chalice, if you draw it. With lands, you're just racing. They have a combo, you have a combo. Yours is usually slower, but maybe you'll get lucky.
With
game
lands,
2 on the play your hate, you almost always win. In my
you mull to find hate?
What's up?
Not if you always have it always. For example...
you guys want the feature? Oh, you know you want the feature.
If you were going to not have it...
you want the feature? Come on over.
Have
it. Do you guys want the feature match?
But yeah, you do mulligan. If your hand doesn't interact with them, no matter how fast your combo looks...
Alright, we got a match coming over.
Unless it's the actual put a mana bond down, which you left forwarded in for some reason. Do not at all.
I feel like you have to in that matchup because their combo is just way more consistent, and they will kill you faster than you can assemble yours.
Yeah, 1 bad piece or 2 pieces at all is what you need, and I do consider a crop rotation.
HOLLAAR.
Okay, you got it wrong. So it's not never have it, sometimes always. It's never not have it. Period.
Thank you, Tom.
It's never not game, sometimes always. It's game.
I just prefer always having it.
Sure, yeah. If that's rule number 1, which obviously is more important than rule number 2, which is never not have it.
You guys are 1-1?
I always heard that rule number 2 was have your opponent not have it.
I don't know. There's actually only 3 rules. Your opponent doesn't matter if you always have it always, and
you're right.
Never not have it. The 3rd rule is blind flip your Delver, which isn't about Delver. It's not about the card, really. It's just a way of life. If you live your life in such a way that your Delver's blind flip, it's already.
You need to talk to your Delvers. Sweet talk them into flipping.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, as soon as you pick up the actual Delver you need to shuffle up the deck at home and just practice blind flipping that Delver. That's the most important.
Barbecue. Anyone? Huh?
Alright, I have practiced flipping my Delvers extensively.
UID for Rakdos Charm
Okay.
against Twins to see how they go.
Yep.
Pretty usual opener for Death and Taxes.
Well, you have the ballistas hanging back. The paladins riding up front, and Bacchus
And I heard you say that this is located in southwest. It's actually on this is would be the southeast then. This is the east side of 95 here.
Oh, I was referring to 495.
Okay, yeah, 495. It's definitely south. It's outside the Beltway. It's right. I mean, it's
Good.
right where near the mixing bowl is.
And
Right, yeah, I was just
50
referring
needle
to
count.
like if 95 was a clock, it's like on the south.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, 495.
Yeah, we're 495 mixed in there. We're south east side right there. So we're like 7. Yeah, I mean, because the Beltway's right up there. 95 runs up
Yeah, Kory, the camera is a bit crooked.
Yeah.
there. Exactly where
Somebody kicked it, it seems.
I'll fix it in a second.
Yep.
Sure.
So this is pretty good. I'm sure Mark would rather have a needle on whatever equipment Stoneforge would get, but seeing the turn 1 Chalice means that the needle has to be on Chalice, or the thing that is in Chalice, Aether Vial. It has to be on Aether Vial. That shuts down a lot of the deck and turns on all Mark's counters that are still in the deck.
Pit the needle's naming Ether Vial?
Aether Vial, yeah.
Okay. And not Borborygmos?
Yep. One through 5.
You with your healthy back.
Got Travis needle.
Yep. Yeah.
Cavern's naming human.
Yeah.
So we've got a Wasteland which could go after the... I know we don't have a Wasteland, that was a polluted Delta. That changes everything, doesn't it? I don't have that palm tree on my trop.
Good.
Alright, so we paid 2 for a plow. Mark's going to gain 3. And Travis is going to take those away.
Cards down. It's 1. Good. Yeah.
Right. So that's not great for Mark. We don't love having a first striking. Jite. Looks like we're going to see an abrupt decay though.
Some sounds from you, Jordan. Do you mind muting your mic if you're going to be making noise?
I apologize.
Toxic Deluge on 2 life. That's pretty good for Mark. That is a fetch land and not a Horizon Canopy on the left there. Does Travis play Magus post board?
Yep.
For example, Magus would be very good right now.
Yeah.
Okay, Travis elects to just go for the beatdown. Nothing fancy.
Response on brainstorm.
Incidentally, a beatdown that has protection from 2 of Mark's colors.
You got it. Did you use your report?
I believe the only other basic Mark will have in his deck is a island.
I think it's Forest. I actually don't know if Shardless runs islands.
Alright then.
Ooh,
Well, that's good.
that's why I play Brainstorm in that deck, kids.
And he plays a mountain.
No, that's an Imperial Recruiter in play, so that's a Wasteland.
Oh,
Good.
I'm sorry.
I'm getting worried by this Mirror Crusader now.
Uncounterable Mirrored Crusader.
Yep.
That is also very good.
Recruiter going to name Liliana, or Revoker going to name Liliana. Uniquely describing the Planeswalker, so as not to get forward most.
Black generic.
Oh, a lot of people in chat are saying that they like your taste in basics.
Thank you.
Can we get an extension for them? Because I had to pull them over. 5 minutes? I mean, I usually give them that too, but it's up to you. I can just add it to the clock.
Right.
Oh.
No, Strix, not Parasitic Strix. We're not suddenly an Orin deck. So that Ancestral was huge. I mean, as Ancestral usually is. It's the Cavern. That was the only red source and the only way to get under forces with Needle on Vial. Looks like a plane's there. So Travis can just smush for 4. There you go. Or waste and 4. Yeah, that's actually pretty good for Travis. I'm going to try to mark off blue. Mark's got 2 turns to find an answer, or erase the clock from that Mirror Crusader. What are the answers in this deck? A better clock and...
Good.
Goif definitely adds to the clock.
Oh, for sure, but not fast enough.
4.
Uh,
I'll eat your
Mark can eat creatures to gain life.
land, creature, sorcery, instant, artifact.
Time.
Draw.
Yeah. We're on turn 0.
Alright, so we're in turn, so it's even more important to present an efficient clock here to try to close the game out. Another death, right? Yeah. That is how you would do that one. Travis gets to decide, and decides very quickly not to throw the recruiter in front of the glyph.
Good.
Turn 1.
In response, I'll eat. You have like a stone characteristic or something.
Alright, we eat a creature, go to 2. That's...
Yep.
Mark's going to need a second green source to stay alive next turn.
Wait, were you
Or,
He was turn 1. You're going to go to turn 2 if you're taking your turn.
or removal spell for the recruiter, although that is a Magus. That's actually huge. Mark can't gain any life with Magus in play.
15. Let's just go with that.
The only card in this Shardless 75 that can block Mirror Crusader, I think, is Meddling Mage, which would not have been brought in. So let's see, we activate 1 Death Right, putting Travis to 4. Attack with the team. Glyph gets blocked, Death Right gets blocked, Strix gets in for 1. Or rather, Death Right and Strix both get in, the second Death Right. Glyph and Shardless get blocked.
go to combat. Sure.
I can still shout loud enough for you heard, jackass.
Love you, Dave.
Yeah, Mark was too short to be able to figure out. I mean, unless Travis blocked wrong, there was no way for him to attack for the...
Do you have a land I can exile?
Okay. For JVP. Oh, that's interesting. So JVP is a creature that blocks Mirror Crusade. I was wrong about that. So Travis draws a plow or does not draw a plow?
I believe you attack with the Magus of the Moon here and win.
No, he's got to block Death Right at that point. And then lose on the crackback.
Yep.
Wow. That JVP was
Jason, I'm
clutch
blocking
there.
duty.
Wow.
Very interesting end there.
I was like, he's so
Not
not
Jason's
expecting
primary
that.
mode, but
Well, you were 52 size.
No, I can't keep.
I wasn't really paying attention.
I can't keep track.
Jace does have
Crusader. Yeah.
2 toughness.
Chase has power and toughness, it turns out. 0 power, but it is a creature card.
Kory, fuck you in this goddamn camera. Every time I'm on camera, I get this fucking shit.
Okay, yeah.
Travis has had some pretty poor luck on this camera tonight.
And easily one of the worst
Yeah, unfortunately.
That is a strong vintage card right there.
Who's the feature match? Gearheart. Who's the feature match? Okay.
So Kory, I've never been to Curio, but do they put soup in the microwave on 50 minutes, and then when it's done, is the end of the round?
You played in
That is so funny.
Because that timer is insane.
Yeah, I don't know.
All the value, right?
The commentators want to know: do you use a microwave to keep track of the timer? Because that's what it sounds like when it. Do you use a microwave for the timer?
Some very hot soup.
Hi. Why are we doing 3 rounds? Better luck than me. No, not having
What's your last name, Dan?
So Somavilla. Somavilla.
Somavilla.
Villa.
Somavilla. They're just
I'm
words.
sorry, what's your name? Good luck, guys.
Sometimes. Oh, was that a games and stuff? Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, wow. That was a good while ago.
Dan playing crew control?
Something I do. It was just like auto basics. Oh, yeah, it was because.
Not even.
Diana's spamming hi in chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She knows my number.
She says,
my
hello.
phone 35 times. I have it coming.
Here, so just FYI, the camera can only see about 2 dice lengths in, so just keep that in mind when you have your graveyard. And good luck, guys.
Diana, is that you?
What, is she blowing up your phone?
My phone.
Kory, you gotta put caution tape around that camera stand. People here are just stampeding.
Oh my god. What? It's, flip it, flip 180. There you go. You can get it closer.
All up in there.
What does it say? Check
your phone on stream.
Over.
God love you, Diana. Yeah. This is what celebrities like, man. You just gotta get used to it. Too much. Entirely too much.
Alright, so this matchup, as far as I can tell, is elves versus somebody who's very cold, or somebody who poorly understands Cruel Ultimatum.
Sorry, I spelled his deck wrong.
Okay. It is actual crew control. Dan's hand doesn't have enough crew ultimata. It is thrown back.
How far back does the camera see? Like up to the
It's like this way.
yeah, but like how far from the edge?
Oh, you can see you
Oh, yeah.
almost.
We got a little bit of hat there.
Are you doing note commentary?
Yeah, yeah.
What gang of geniuses do you have?
We have Kevin and Jordan in. I'm not sure if you know.
Jordan and I are indeed a gang of geniuses.
I would not call myself that.
You can call yourself a gang?
I'd call myself what?
A gang?
Not sure about that.
I'm going to betray my inexperience here by saying that if Dan casts a Cruel Ultimatum, it will be the first time I have seen that cast in this format.
I've definitely seen it cast in Modern. Legacy is a rarity. I would agree with you.
By the way, I'm adding Dylan to the call.
This thing working?
And here comes the Dryad Arbor.
Is it ever good?
What's up, Dylan?
Hey, hey.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, damn. Wow, good for you. Yay.
Don't sound too excited, Kevin.
I'm trying. I'm just all of Twitter. Well, this is happy news indeed, Dylan. Alright, we've got a Dryad Arbor, which is not an elf. I don't know what Chad was thinking. That is an elf.
There is an elf.
I think really the power level of most of the cards in Chat's deck can be rated as is an elf or is not an elf.
I believe it can be rated as is an elf, is a spell, or is a land.
Yep. Chad so didn't fetch there, making me think there's a glimpse turn coming up. There's something. I see a Birchlore, I see another Visionary, I see a Cradle. So it's Bugland still, which we are still hoping will cast Cruel Ultimatum.
If he lands one, it won't look good for Chad.
Yeah, I don't think Chad is very well equipped to deal with Cruel Ultimatum. So is the card Standstill even good? It's draw 3, but for 2 mana. It's not even an Ancestral.
Well, I've been playing Painful Truths as a one of Ingrid's Delver, and
that's 3 mana,
feels
and
good.
you have to pay life.
It feels good. Drawing 3 cards off one card is rarely bad.
Yeah, I picked up a couple of sets of them because I don't see that card going anywhere. It's not even all that narrow, but the fact that blue decks that are running black are playing a black card draw spell is really kind of telling of the power of that spell in general. Like, sure, it hurts versus aggro, but a lot of stuff hurts versus aggro.
And in decks like Grixis, you're normally the beatdown anyway, so the life loss isn't super relevant.
Chad's about to pop a Standstill here. Dan's going to get the trigger before the glimpse resolves. So Dan's going to have the ability to draw a.
Can you please mute your mic before you make that noise again? Whoever just did that.
I believe that's Jordan's mic. Hopefully we'll figure out what...
Jordan, we're gonna have to.
I apologize.
Yeah, because that's like ear rape.
Thalia. Yeah, that's actually, we were talking about Bill Buttons' Rhino list. It's essentially just Nickfit with Painful Truce, which gives it so much reach. It is just miles more powerful than it ever was. Two mana off of the Cradle, casting a Green Sun on 1 or 0, not sure, probably 1. For why would Symbiote? Chad gets to draw a ton of cards too. Not just the blue deck. I believe that Pierce was in Dan's opener, but the ability to draw free in response to the glimpse was huge.
I believe his opener had Force of Will and Spell Piercing.
Okay. Dan's playing Pernicious Deed. Now that's a really interesting one here. You know, do you wait or do you blow it up for 2? You know, do you wait to blow it up for 2? Or... Nah, it looks like Dan's gonna wait.
Looks like Chad has another Glimpse in hand, so if he holds it, he can get a lot of creatures with it.
Okay. Looks like Chad's playing this almost the fair way, waiting for Dan to make a move so that Chad can have another explosive glimpse turn. More visionary. Running out Death right there. Yeah, Chad's going to sandbag a lot of elves. Try to force Dan's hand. Because Chad can just play the aggro plan. Dan's got a Mind Sculptor in hand. Really poor time to cast it right now. Because Dan needs to do something to affect the board. Most notably, blowing up a Deed on 2. So, another standstill. We know that Dan has Force in hand, so Chad's Glimpse probably won't almost certainly won't resolve. Chad's probably feeling pretty good right now about this Glimpse turn. The amount of visionaries that Chad has drawn, though, could be fine anyway. Dan just drew another Force of Will. Playing a Symbiote off of Fetch Land. That means Cradle will tap for 2 so he can play another Visionary. Chad can keep the hand full.
I'm getting a kind of a loud hum from one of you guys. There we go. Whoever that is, if you want to toggle mute on and off when you need to talk, it's just Control M on Skype.
Beautiful shot. I know. Oh yeah. I can just figure some
Which figure?
Disfigure.
Disfigure, then.
Yeah, I guess I can run the same. Any garbage now? Yeah, having the maneuvers out here just makes it easier, and when you have richer core count. Tech.Sea? Yeah, he's got an because he doesn't know what you're going to do. He's trying to figure out exactly what it is. The problem is you don't have his those. Yep. You must have to piss him off now.
More visionaries. That seems to be Chad's plan in the long game. Is just keep casting your visionaries, drawing cards, keeping your hand full. So Landstill is really trying to just run you out of cards, and if they can't do that, then they can't end the game.
That's actually the one thing I don't like is that Figure of Death is a token and Concentrate is a token. Sorry, it's target versus concentrate. Yeah. Alright. Probably just get the counter spell, which means that Mind Blast is still a good spell regardless. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're thinking about the counter spell. Yeah, that's kind of what's nice about having that out there. It's just kind of like a nice. It's whenever. It's whenever, and like, it's great. Yeah. Re-enabling the mode. Yeah. Okay, so that last one. Oh yeah. Don't worry. Flippers. Flip. Just go. What do you think I was doing? I thought you were going to back up. Problem is, though, it's a wreck. And a lot of what I did actually. Looking at her angles on your mat, I'm actually quite high in first time because if you go forward, I can't attack you. Okay, ready? He's going 2 inward. So we will get to that in just a second.
I imagine we're going to see a hard cast Force of Will here.
Is that eroded to be part of the casting cost?
That is part of the cost.
Yeah, but look at how you see the pressure that you're exerting to push them in.
The only I prefer
You push it in on the top end, and so that means that the card. So the card on the top end, when you're pushing it in,
the one flip
this
would
part
be
up
really
here,
good.
where it's coming out and it has the purpose and stuff, you're also pushing the sleeve. So the sleeve on the top end and the bottom end is facing in, and it's forcing the card to bend in. Because of how you're pushing the cards.
His action. You know what?
Yeah, I mean, like that's bad. If you're damaging the top of the card, that's how you do it. bending in a single part, and the part that's not bending, and next to the part that is, that tension there is causing.
Poison bow still. I've got counterspell. Yeah, but like that's my shirt. This is vantage. Poison bow takes blade weakness, which is don't worry about that. Venom, which has
Yeah.
counterspell. Which it looks like it's either one of these two. I would probably go for the counterspell just because I need to get him prepped for slapping the shit out of you.
Well, no, that's
really
hanging back
good
walker
because your
against
mage
like
whatever it is she's got to do.
It's kind of my thing.
Or force you to burn your
kind of what Alex does.
Right, that's the whole point. Or actually, you know what? Let's go for your or you just target lock so sure. Alright. I'll get the bow actually, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know you would get that. Okay. Because you know why? I will target lock myself because
Yeah, I guess I remember that. It's still pretty bad. Okay, fair enough. But all I'm saying.
But which one you like better?
I mean,
I guess we'll start with him first, I guess. You've only got
you might be able to win and
three agility.
You don't have to pick next to that.
Just have to get one of these things to win.
Well, the other thing is you actually have the second on it. No, you get the second on it.
Wow.
Like you play on the water anyway. Whereas you didn't know that. But I thought about it.
Yeah, no, if you were done, it would have gone pretty cool for you. I've only got a couple of minutes on it, I guess.
Three on the driver bones. On driver, right? Yeah. This is regular hits.
Right.
So I have armor. Yeah. Not anymore.
That was a really good time for playing Legacy, actually. I remember that.
And then your follow-up attack. Days, not perform actions. Right. Everything's about to go down from the fast. Yeah. Divestra. So let's see here. Since you can't really shoot me with him, we already measured the him. He's already got 2 damage or 3 damage on him now. I might as well go for it on you, finger of death. Yep. Go with the kill. Yeah, because if I counterspell, you're just going to counter my counterspell. No point, and I'll disable the ward caster as well too. So we're going to keep this target lock going. So my finger of death. On max, right?
Wasn't he?
Oh, that's right. I'm barely within max. Yeah, that's why we measured it. Stupid. Wow. Damage so far. So I need one. Okay, you know what? That's yeah. I got all 5. No, because if I evade all penetrating armor, I have evade to Oh, damn. Yeah. Why was only going 3 days? There was a crit, so let's see what the crit is. Minus 1 attack, minus 1 defense. That just knocks you down another notch, so when you shoot at her, it's 1 against it. Okay, so she's tapped out. That's all you want. Alright, can't do nothing. He's flying too high.
Was the Dryad Arbor in play when? Oh, okay. Sorry, I totally missed that.
3 shots.
Yes,
Should be. And he'll go. She'll go ahead and drop down. Swing this because there's nothing better to do. Might as well. Skip this one. Let's call a game here because I think after this whole debacle, well, he's near death. Yeah, I mean, I have to do some amazing maneuvering and I still got this crap with talisman. The only thing that sucks is Warcaster can't undisable the other stuff, but I can do it. Disintegrate is still nasty, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I can confirm. You did however miss out the parenthetical for the nature of it. Still learning.
I thought it was clear. Are you telling me that there's like another card out there called Don?
So you're saying that he doesn't have protection on him?
Boom. We got you.
Some other player.
Value.
So that's actually an interesting point that was brought up, is why didn't we get ultimatum cards in cons? What's wrong with Sultai ultimatum?
What would it have been?
Discard a bunch of cards, get something back from your yard. Probably draw some.
Seems fine. I guess I just didn't want to mess with it.
Well, I think it would have just kind of been white noise. Plus, back then, casting something for that much was, I don't know, fundamentally more than... We've got lots of splashy effects now. That was sort of the beginning of the real power creep, was the Hollaar block into M10. M10's when we got Bolt back, when we got Ponder back. If you remember the mythics back then, Noble Hierarch, Knight of the Reliquary, Birds of Paradise, Lotus Cobra, all in the same Jace the Mind Sculptor, Stoneforge Mystic format. It was a very powerful standard. So powerful, in fact, that by the time M10 came out, Pool wasn't even being played.
What did he just cast after the Metal Sentinel?
What is this card? Oh, Shaman of the Pact.
So Dan's killed a bunch of stuff and drawn a bunch of cards. How does he win? I feel like he's behind this game.
Usually it's with things like Manlands, which we see one of, the Trooping Carpet there. But the Carpet's going to be on blocking duty. So the reason land still works, and I remember it being a very annoying deck when it was more played, is it has X for ones. It's 3 for 1 off Standstill, and some number for 1 off Pernicious Deed, and eventually Dan just has more cards than Chad does. But Chad has been drawing all these cards off of these elves that he's been replaying. If any of those glimpses resolved, and so Dan ran out of cards at the same time Chad did, and Chad keeps drawing creatures. And all right, one time for the Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce is the only out here that I can see. Keeps a death right off the brainstorm, so Norder's going to resolve. Norder gets Crater Hoof and ends the game. That's no good. So this has got to be a bad matchup for Dan, I think. As much as he's got all these tools in the main deck, if Chad plays it like Chad played it, then eventually Dan's just going to run out of relevant cards.
I mean, they both seem to run out of gas at about the same time, but like Chad's top decks just seemed a little better.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Chad's top decks are just weenies to stuff damage down your throat, whereas Dan's top decks are finessey, sort of surgical cards, situational.
Looks like we have a Needle, some ancient grudges, a library coming in for the Elves player.
And a Heroic Thar. Heroic Thar the Unbound, in case there happens to be a Heroic Thar that was printed before Heroic Thar the Unbound.
I don't believe there was. He is
Red.
unique to Dragon Space.
Red, green, new Ravnica block legend jokes.
Oh, sorry, I'm behind on my internet magic memes.
Yep. They come faster and danker than ever.
I need to surf more apparently.
There's a hotel across the street. Just stay there.
Yeah, I think it moved a little quicker too. They weren't really expecting it to be the year today.
It's even worse.
Just saying. You're the champ. Fucking
So I saw Teague and Chad's sideboard. When have elves been splashing white? Is that new?
I've seen it at all. It's not been super popular in my experience.
Really old, by the way. Old. Like 2012 era.
Yeah. It does give you access to some powerful tools, but you don't want a lot of duels. Like things like Rest in Peace. Plow. Abrupt Decay, I think, is what really, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of cemented this, the only needing a black splash.
It's that in therapy, right?
Therapy?
I think they run like what? 4 therapies?
Yeah, they run therapy,
Something.
sometimes with Thoughtseize, sometimes. And Abrupt Decay. It just, also with Death Ray, it just made a lot more sense to be only black, green, white, because back in the day, Elves players used to cast Sword Splashers. At that time, I wasn't really aware of the national meta, so that could have just been local to me up in Massachusetts, but Abrupt Decay has changed a lot of things.
It's a good magic card. It's a powerful magic card. So
Lucas, yeah, there was a cycle of ultimatums. A lot of them were way worse than Cruel because Cruel was so devastating, but they all had really good effects. There was Brilliant Ultimatum. I remember the Naya Ultimatum
But
was
I do
back.
have your deck listed as
deck when the format came out.
BBUUGG land still. Just for you.
Yeah, there's a whole cycle. Like, they're great for casual play still. Grixis, you could theoretically still put in the modern deck. Violent Ultimatum,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that. I have no idea how I'm getting home tonight.
somebody's got to have a bed that you can sleep in.
Yep, that might just have to happen.
Esper is Clarion Grav.
I have no idea what would be in Dan's board other than things like Toxic Deluge, maybe even Damnation. I don't know. Clarion Ultimatum from back when they were doing things like Wargate. I played a Wargate Extended Elegant deck back when Extended was the format. It was at least playable.
The Wargate Titan decks were also kind of sweet. Before Bloom took off.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't. There was a Hideaway deck that ran Wargate. Although that might have been Valakut, I don't remember. I tested that format and never ended up playing an event because we were testing it because that was going to be the next PTQ season, and then I wasn't in the area for all the PTQs. Pretty representative opener from both players. Dan looks like representing Spell Pierce is important. Chad's just playing the Tribal Elf Beatdown for now. Play an Azuri Renegade Leader and get there. Dan's gonna fetch, maybe playing a Liliana. Being able to play a Liliana with this much value is huge. Lily can be pretty weak in the late game, so Dan was rewarded for leaving him in by getting the value there. Okay, Dan learned the lesson and is forcing, moving forever, the possibility of that card being cast again. So now Chad's on 2 cards, one of which is Library, which is huge to resolve. So Dan's going to need to try to find a Force for that, or a Pierce. Dan is looking ahead right now. This is what Dan wants to be doing. Library's going to help, but it isn't. I mean, you only got so much life to pay. It isn't usually card advantage. Dan has Force, but no blue card, maybe. Cashing Lily seems loose here, but unless Dan has another way to deal with the Dryad, Lily's going to die either way. You might as well get the value. Unless Dan wants Chad to pitch that last card, but Dan's hand's good. Dan might not want to pitch a card. Okay. So don't tick Lily at all because Dan needs both of those cards. Lily can take one from the Dryad. And Dan has Force Pierce. So Dan can force anything Chad plays to try to speed up the clock there. Chad's really wishing for a decay right now. But a Rurikthar, that's not a great draw for Chad. Two Zeniths and a Rurikthar. Yeah, Zenith away that Rurikthar. No way you're going to cast it. Let's get that Visionary into play. Okay, that was big. Otherwise, Chad is going to have to keep floating that Roar Cathar down to the bottom of the 3 cards, essentially looking at 2 every time Library is active or triggered. Also, Visionary is really good here, but could be there's some 2-drop that Chad wants better out of the board. Looks like it's just going to be Visionary, though. Chad really wishing there was enough mana to get a Rec Sage. Reclamation Sage on Pernicious Steed would have been very good for Chad here. There goes Roar with him any chance of him being in play. Yeah, you might as well just Zenith for the Arbor here because Spell Pierce. Doesn't matter anyway. Lily's gonna have to tick up here or die. Ticking down kills it, gets rid of a Nettle Sentinel. Chad's hellbent, but Dan knows how quickly Chad can build a board. Most of the time when you play Lily in your list, you'd like to think that there's always a card in your hand you can pitch. But when you're actually just pitching a card to your opponent, not pitching anything, just to keep it alive so that it can get hit by a Nettle Sentinel, you really have to consider just cashing it for the Wrath and having 2 cards to their none.
I like ticking down Lily here. Generally, the less elves that the elves player has, the better.
Yeah, I think that's what I would ultimately come to. It depends on what 2 cards are in my hand. Could be Dan's got blank blank, but Chad gets death right off the top. Dan has death right. Chad plays. It's hard to see. Is that a symbiote? Curio. Oh, it's a Birchler Rangers. So Dan can hardcast Force now using that Deathrite Shaman, which could ever be relevant, I suppose. Chad's got the Craterhoof in hand, but not looking good to cast it anytime soon. So we're having the okay, we can cast Force with just lands now. So we're having the classic Deathrite standoff where Chad tries to activate it, then Dan will respond, or if Dan tries to activate it, Chad will respond. Less likely the latter because Chad doesn't have black mana or the ability to tap the Force and still activate for creatures. Luckily, Dan's at a huge life total, though, so he isn't even all that concerned, I'm sure, with eating creatures out of graveyards. He just wants to keep Chad from doing whatever Chad wants to do with the Deathrite.
What are the points right now?
I got a Craterhoof tap.
Okay, okay.
Which means 5/6 mana. Still not enough to cast Craterhoof. So Chad's wondering whether to play the Cradle now or and get it, potentially wasted or sandbag it. But if Chad draws another Cradle next turn, Chad's going to want to be able to cast that Craterhoof by Legend rules on Cradles. Chad's got to draw some action. None of these cards can be very relevant at all. Is it a 5 needle?
That was a Python needle.
Oof. I mean, again, we're on the no man land planned out of the landstill deck, but so that's a standstill. So Dan is very much prioritizing being able to hardcast that force in case Chad gets a Norder or a Crater Hoof or a Green Sun or some other. Okay. So Chad goes for the land. Dan responds by hitting the land instead. Dan takes 2.
Deed is an interesting draw.
Yeah. It's a really life-saving draw. We were looking at Dan refusing to make any moves for a long time, and this is a good place to finally make that move. We deed for 1. There goes Chad's plan of casting that Crater Hoof. Dan's going to fetch play Standstill potentially, reset the game entirely with Dan putting an Ancestral in play.
Is that a Notion Thief in Dan's hand?
That's what all the buzz is. I haven't seen it yet.
See you around, Thomas. Good seeing you, man.
It does look like it looking at that art, you're right. Notion Thief is really interesting against the Glimpse turn. They cast Glimpse, you respond with Notion Thief and say, I dare you. Oh, this is great. This is exactly what Dan wants to do. Tell Chad to just go.
Build up his hand.
Right, because while Chad's hand's going to get better, Dan's hand's going to get better faster. So while Chad may eventually have, a perfect hand of 1-drops and a Glimpse and all this other nonsense, Dan's just going to have 3 forces in that hand. Obviously that's Christmas Land, but we're seeing the Landstill deck operate. It's less important to win as to keep your opponent from winning.
With
So that's
5 minutes in the clock, it's possible that they might tie and Chad may win.
It is possible. So that's what Chad has to decide right now is if he wants to play to this game being a draw or scoop it and try to play game 3. I think 5 minutes is a lot longer than you think in match plan. So I think 2 minutes ago, as soon as the deed into Standstill came down, you scoop it up, you go to game 3. Maybe Chad's trying to have one more good, Glimpse turn, but he has to know that Dan's just got the counter magic at this point. Notion Thief is actually really interesting if it comes in before Standstill, because you can pop your own Standstill and get the cards anyway.
I was actually going to ask that. Is there any merit to brainstorming on Chad's end step and then flashing in Notion Thief?
That doesn't work.
Finally got the man lamb. Yeah, waste the cradle. Good move there. Or gets too out of hand.
Yeah, anytime, man. Good seeing you.
Okay.
I really like the meta at Curio. A lot of respect for old decks there. Yeah, Chad is showing an order in hand.
Seems as though Dan is out of vegetables.
It's not. It is not.
Yeah. Is that a Knight of Souls Betrayal?
I believe so.
Alright. Yeah, the soup is ready. I believe that's a Knight of Souls Betrayal. All creatures get -1/-1. Perfectly the shaman. So Dan is keeping Chad off of being able to 2 him a turn, but also natural order mana. So unfortunately for Dan, Knight of Souls Betrayal turns his carpet into a 2-turn clock. It's possible Chad's leaving up that creature in order to draw into or play if it's already in the hand. Birchlore Ranger. Produce mana. Chad might. I don't think Chad brought him from Progenitus, though. With white mana, who knows?
Wait, so what happened there at the end?
I didn't have enough time.
Dan conceded to Chad as he wouldn't be able to kill him fast enough with the creeping carpets.
Gotcha. So couldn't get there.
Yeah.
1 turn off and 1 point of damage off.
Because of that Knight of Souls Betrayal. Hoisted by his own Souls Betrayal. Oh, we did see a Progenitus. Alright, so this is an old school list.
Alright guys, well that was the last match of the night.
You guys want to give us a little bit info on you guys, where we can find you, and if you have any links for me, I can post them for you in chat.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. Kevin King, in case you don't know the voice. Yeah, thanks for having me commentating. It's been a lot of fun. I did it for a little bit in another tournament, but I've never done the whole thing from another state like this before. I guess if you don't know me personally, then my Twitter is @YaHappyNow. It's mostly Magic stuff. And hopefully if you see me at a tournament, say hi, because I'd like to keep doing this. It's been a lot of fun. I'm watching Legacy and talking about it.
Where can we find you, Kevin, if we want to look for you?
Pretty much other than Facebook, pretty much my only social media. My Twitter handle's @YaHappyNow. It's I don't post a ton, but it's mostly Magic stuff when I do.
Awesome. All right, thank you guys for doing guest commentary tonight. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out for us. Thanks to everyone that came out and everyone that interacted in chat. I always really like talking with you guys. Really helps kind of pass the time for me, interact with you guys. If you haven't already, make sure to give us a follow. It'll let you know whenever we go live. We're also on Twitter, @Snapcasters2U. If you want to keep up to date on us, we have a little schedule, like a Google Calendar schedule down below. Let you know what events we're going to be doing coming up soon. We have one event we may or may not be streaming at the end of this month. It's the Baltimore Satellite Series 5K, which is related to Eternal Weekend 4, I believe.
Extravaganza? Or is it actual Eternal Weekend?
I can't remember. It's Caffrey's event, so
Extravaganza, then, I think.
Okay, yeah. Eternal Extravaganza 4. It's like a 5K, and I think you get buys for the event. So that's going to be coming up. The problem is we don't know how the internet's going to be there, so it's kind of up in the air. That's like the only one on my radar right now. We already had the Winamax event this month. We will not be covering next month's because it's going to be the same weekend as MagFest, and I'm actually going to be going to that, so shout out to MagFest. Thanks again to everybody that came out and chat. I don't know if we're going to be live this Friday or not. If you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, I'll post and let you guys know. This is Kory, by the way, and I will talk to you guys then. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming out. And have a great night.
Snowmageddon has started this April.
Yeah. Wish me luck on the way back. Thanks to everybody for the positive vibes. I will see you next time.
Chill, dude. Chill.